Namaste. Well, as a part of this leadership project and training, there is a subject that we want to share with you since we consider it of main importance to the propagation of theosophy. And it is communicating and presenting topics and ideas effectively. And since we are in the realm of theosophy, there will be a component related to the occult side of oratory that will allow us to understand and to go beyond on this question of this matter of being a public speaker. There are different parts to this communicating and presenting topics and ideas effectively. The first one, which is the one that is of our interest in this video, has to do specifically with removing obstacles. Sometimes just by the fact of working in ourselves, we will come to know that it's possible to be a better speaker by removing certain obstacles. But before starting, and this is a suggestion that I make to all of you, it's something that I used to do when I approach an audience. Let us do what I call the be here moment. As you may know, the audience that gathers to listen to you whenever you are going to deliver a speech is very varied. And not only that, one of them may have come from work after a day of a lot of maybe stress or difficulties or even achievement. Others maybe were stuck in traffic or even before the talk began, they were engaged in a certain kind of conversation. The point here is that people and you as a speaker need to gather the attention of people towards what is going to happen during the talk. So it is important to do so for them to cut with that whatever it is that they were doing. And for you to also feel the audience. It's important that we connect to each other, that we come to the here and the now. And for that you can ask them to close their eyes and whether make a small meditation or introspection better, or a moment of silence, or depending upon your own inclination as a human being, make a small prayer, chant a mantra, etc. etc. The important thing here is that you feel that all of us, mean all the people that are gathering together, that we are the one embracing the many, that we contain auditory all, and that we connect in an aspect that is higher, from heart to heart. So using the power of your visualization, you can just feel that connection. You can just think that from that moment onwards, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your attention will be all together. And I can assure you that after that easier moment, things are gonna feel in a different. Did you know that 74% of the population, it means more than half of the population, frequently experience nervousness when speaking in public? And sometimes the origin of that nervousness has to do with expectations of our own, with insecurity, with maybe vanity, etc., etc. But since we are in the theosophical world, and we know that what we are sharing is the ageless wisdom, and that sharing the ageless wisdom is a very important task that is open to any human being. It's a very good opportunity that you have to share something of real value. Then such inner conviction will automatically remove any fear of public speaking. And then you may not be feeling in that position that you are teaching something, but instead that you are sharing something for the welfare of everyone. And then compassion and that idea of sharing is the ideal motive for lecture. That will automatically reduce our own personality, the source of the insecurity. And it will reduce it to a minimum when conveying the message of the ageless wisdom. Let us break down some myths about public speaking because one of the source of this nervousness has to do with the fact that we think that we are not natural speakers. Like if being a public speaker was a divine gift. Well, it is not. It is not a divine gift. Of course, there are people that have a natural inclination to communicate ideas through speech. Yes. But it doesn't mean that those who have not them, those who were not born with that natural tendency or talent, cannot become good speakers. Public speaking is a skill that can be trained with discipline, with will, and courage. If you are a good reader, if you are interested in knowledge, you are a curious person, you are potentially a speaker and can become one if some barriers are removed. Actually, all these qualities that brought us to the Theosophical Society, to the Theosophical movement, will enable us to develop oratory if we accept the discipline and the karma of the orator, for sure. Well, then, what are those obstacles? What do we have to work upon? There are mainly three things: the physical aspect, the moral aspect, and the mental aspect. Regarding the physical aspects, we have the wrong posture, the wrong breathing, and some voice failures. When we talk about the moral aspect, there is this false modesty that comes when we think that, oh, we are not capable, we are not good enough, but sometimes it is an inverted vanity. We have to be we have to be very observant of ourselves. There is also this stage fright that some people experience naturally. There is laziness sometimes. And there is sometimes for other people the feeling of superiority. In the realm of mental aspects, we have sometimes lack of study, what we call lack of memory, and lack of discipline. So if we see these aspects that we have to work on, we see that when we overcome them, we work towards the improvement or elimination of whatever is an impeachment for us to express ourselves in a philosophical or any other public platform. We can have an idea that while becoming public speakers from the theosophical point of view, there is a component of self transformation in becoming a public speaker because we are going to work upon all these aspects. Let us remember something. There is no reason for feelings of inferiority as all of us, the speakers and the public, are students of theosophy. All of us are involved in one word and a common joy. All of us are part of that universal brotherhood. Let us remember as well that communicating is the essence of Theosophy, and it is a big service to spread the ageless wisdom. Very frequently among ourselves in the meetings, in the lodge, or just when we are sharing with other members, we ask ourselves how to spread this wonderful treasure that we have found as Theosophy, how to make people aware of it, how to share it with other people for them to also benefit themselves as we have done during the years that we have been studying this kind of literature and knowledge. What public speaking, making lectures and talks on the philosophical topic is a great way. It's a big service not only to philosophy but to humanity. So let us become effective vehicles to spread philosophy and spiritual ideas in the best possible way. Let's talk about the breathing, the posture, and the voice. These are the three aspects that we are going to be focused in during this first week. So, breathing. Breathing is called the elixir of life. And by passing ourselves, we will ensure that our listener will stay interested in what we have to say. Normally, sadly, we forget how to do it. If we observe babies and some of the creatures like doggies and cats, we can see how they have a perfect breathing because all their stomach goes up and down. That is what we call full breathing, in which we expand all our lungs and trachea during this process of breathing. And it is composed by the brain, meaning the intake of air and the exhalation. And the full breathing is produced by the total filling of the lungs. And it is performed in a slow way, without forcing the lung capacity, just as babies and doggies. But with the years, this capacity of natural breathing disappears. And sometimes we are even taught that breathing is like put all the air on this part. And it's not like that because if we do so, our breathing capacity and therefore our capacity to spread and project the voice will increase immensely. So first thing that we have to be aware and learn and practice how to do properly is the whole breathing or what is called diaphragmatic breathing. And it's very simple. So let's do it together. You can put one of your hands on your chest and the other one right on your solar plexus. And slowly you will take a deep breath in. And while doing so, you will feel how your lungs are filling with air and your abdomen from your stomach extends. And all this thoracic part also extends. And when you exhale, your abdomen contracts even more. If you are not familiar with it, you can, I'm sitting right now, but you can do it standing up. Maybe you can even look into a mirror and do this. And you can practice this every day for 5 minutes or more. I mean, whether you do it consciously every morning as a morning practice or as a night practice or any time of the day that you have some time, you just practice this breathing, this diaphragmatic breathing. And there will be a moment that this will become your natural way of breathing. And this is very useful also because it helps you to bring the attention all the time to your here, in your now, the present moment. So it also creates the possibility of awareness. So breathing is fundamental not only for our life, for our daily life, but for public speaking. And there is another practice that is related to breathing that helps us also a lot. It is a very, very basic exercise of pranayama in which you will always sit straight or stand straight or during your meditation moment or during any time of the day that you have this feeling or this thought. And it's very simple. You will place your middle finger on one of your nostrils and you will close it. And the other nostril, and you keep this thumb ready. Then you inhale and hold the air while you put your thumb on the other nostril and remove the previous one. And then you exhale. Only with your mouth closed and only using the nostrils. And then inhale again. And then change the fingers and exhale. So from the inhaling from one nostril to the change of finger until the exhale from the other nostril, that is one cycle. Then if you can do it in a place where you are surrounded by nature, it's even better. From the occult point of view, each one of us is nothing but a breath, an energy that circulates through this body. So when we do abdominal or diaphragmatic breathing, not only let us bring the attention to the here and the now, and this is also an exercise that you can propose to do to your audience at the here moment, for instance. But while we are doing that, let's also think that we are that current, that divine breath. And several full breaths before a lecture can quiet your nerves and help you perceive things more clearly and give you more energy for a better presentation. So naturally, it will help us to calm our nerves because it shutters our animal nature. Now, let's go to the posture. The effective speakers control their bodies at all times. Every movement, every gesture is always under their control and they are aware of those. It is said that the initial seconds of a first impression are the key. So the initial moments that you connect and relate to the audience are very important for the rest of the speech. And posture is fundamental to that. Because non-verbal communication, which means the posture, the gestures, the face, the way you utilize your hands, etc., has significant effects on the other. There are researches that even mention that the 90% of the impact that a speaker has on his or her audience has to do with the non-verbal component. And the remaining 10% has to do with the message. It means the verbal communication. A good posture also helps us to expand the lung space, which benefits the breathing, and facilitates and invigorates our movement. Okay, there are some things that are called assertive postures. And these are resources that contribute to the correct conveyance of the message, as we have already pointed. So, what is the ideal posture of our body? Of course, that will depend if we are on an online platform or on an in-person platform, or if we are sitting or standing up. But normally, when we address to a public in person, we will be standing up, and we have to try to move the less possible. If we have to move, if we are in such kind of platform that allows us to move, then let's do it including all the members of the public. Let's always direct our body, our look towards the public. Let's not move so quickly, and we should make pauses that capture the attention and generate link to the public. A constant and fast movement, whether it is the movement of our bodies or our hands and even of our eyes, distracts and transmits anxiety. Usually, when we address to a philosophical platform, there is audio. The idea will be not to have the podium, but since in most of the logic that we present, there is a podium, then let's remind that we always have to have our torso towards the audience because that is the place of our body where the attention will be direct. Something that is fundamental in the good posture is something called grounding. Grounding is this posture of being straight back, of half straight back, straight shoulders, and stable feet. That way we will avoid imbalancing, which conveys insecurity, whereas grounding conveys stability. So grounding is basically to take a firm grip on the floor. Even if we are sitting, we can do that. We can place both our feet on the floor this way, and we take a firm grip of it. And we feel that we connect, that we root to the floor. And at the same time, we feel that our spine is connected to the upper. Our spine, which being straight, will become like an antenna, a receptor of all the higher ideas. And this grounding is placing ourselves, connecting to earth, rooting with earth, and connecting to the higher. This will protect us against nervousness. This will prevent our legs to tremble. And this will give power and projection to our voice. And this will also connect us to the higher source from which all the ideas, all the thoughts that we are sharing come. Let us remember that ideas are there and we are just a channel to spread them to our public. Let us avoid this kind of closed postures, like putting our hands in pockets, sitting in an excessive, powerful posture that can intimidate the public, or closing our arms, not knowing how to manage our hands, because all these distract or sometimes becomes a barrier among between you and your public. There is something that sometimes is difficult to know how to deal with that are the hands. As we saw in the previous slide, there are people who tend to close their hands or just to put them somewhere because they feel uncomfortable with the hand. They don't know what to do with their hands. So the hands have a very useful role when we are talking to a public. The hand movement is that movement that helps you to convey the message. It helps you to support them and to capture the attention and to connect with your public. So you should have your hands always above your waist because remember that the torso is the place of your body where the attention tends to focus. So this is the place to have our hands. Let's avoid to have our hands just hanging on both sides and let's use our hands to illustrate the message. For instance, if we are doing an enumeration of something, we can use our hands to just follow the enumeration. That will also depend on how expressive naturally is the person. Every one of the tips that we are sharing here always have to be practiced and studied by all of you and felt and put into synchrony with kind, your own kind of tendency and personality. So in the case of people that are more expressive, it's very probable that they will use their hands as I am doing right now and I usually do more often to illustrate them. But let's not also exaggerate on that movement. Because if we move our hands like I'm doing right now without purpose, it denotes nervousness and it also distracts a bit. Let's just use them whenever we feel it's convenient. What about the head? The position of the head reflects emotional state and interpersonal action. Regarding to the position of the head itself, it should be in a right angle. So this part of our head should be like in a parallel angle with the floor. Because if we go very downward or upward, that can also distract us from connecting to the audience. And downward can also convey distraction or uh, my public doesn't matter to me. And upwards also can convey a kind of pride. So let's be always in that. And there is something very important related to the face, which is called micro expressions. The micro expression, the way you express your feelings when you talk is also very important. So regarding the micro expressions, which are the expressions of our face, we have those positive ones that usually increase our confidence as speakers and increase also the credibility of the audience. They are trust, joy, relaxation, enthusiasm, security, and openness. And of course, we will vary them through all our speech depending on what we are expressing. And these are some negative ones that just get the opposite effect, which is decreasing the confidence and decreasing the credibility of our audience. They are anxiety, disdain, disgust, disappointment, frustration, contempt, anger, mockery, sadness, etc. Well, now let's go to the voice. A good voice is developed in a gradual way. Not everyone has a perfect voice for public speaking, but uh, all the things that we have already mentioned, we can work upon that. So again, for the voice, it's very important to have this diaphragmatic breathing that we discussed when we were talking about the importance of breathing. Because the basis of vocal power is the reserve of air in the pulmonary reservoir. Then we have to have a proper posture, a proper breathing, and that gives us as a result a good voice. And this helps us to normalize the rhythm, the rate that we use to talk. It reduces the anxiety and also helps us to lower the tone of the voice. Because research shows that a lower pitched voice is much more persuasive and much more agreeable to the ear. Let's talk about the articulation, the pitch, and the rate, which are main ingredients for a persuasive and proper voice. And all of them are governed by intention, or the intention that we want to put in our message. So now that we are able to stand vibrant and flexible with feet grounded and balanced, and that we are able to manage the breath to modify the wind, as we have observed in the past two parts of our presentation. Let's work on the voice. The articulation, something that helps us learn to model the voice. And the articulation is related to the pitch and the rate of our speech. As I mentioned, the low pitched voice and slow speech help us to reduce the listener anxiety, increases the credibility, convincing to the audience, gives sense of closeness with approaches to our listeners, and denotes tranquility, calm, and relaxation. Therefore, automatically, the ambience of the room becomes peaceful and appropriate for the conveying of the message that we are thinking to spread or willing to spread. On the other side, a high pitched and fast speech gives a feeling of detachment, like you are not connected to your public. Therefore, it produces anxiety in the listener and it reduces the credibility and denotes nervousness, fear, and tension. The low pitched voice is the one we should prefer, and maybe we can lower half a tone our voice, especially female voices that are naturally more high pitched than male voices. And this lower voice, this bass tone, will allow us to articulate with more clarity and to achieve the point of the throat here, which is a nerve center. It's called like a secondary brain that governs the power of the word. And here we find a plexus, which is the hidden center that corresponds to the word and corresponds to the Vishuddha chakra, which is the throat chakra. The Vishuddha chakra is the center of our communication. It's a gateway for energy between the lower parts of the body and the head. So it brings them together in harmony. So when the sounds move from our throat and into the air, and we can feel this vibration here, we can even place our hands here and feel the vibration here. Not only in our ears, but in our whole body when we do these exercises while we are talking, to put our hands here and be aware of our posture, our breathing, and our entire body. So this helps us harmoniously attune to these inner and outer vibrations. And it bridges the heart and the mind It is a bridge between the heart and the mind, integrating their wisdom. So from the occult point of view, it's a very important tool, and it's very important that we are aware of this Vishuddha chakra. The element of this chakra is the ether. Ether is all about space, and it reminds us the secret doctrine, even when it says that at the beginning it was this sound in the ether, how the power of the sound is such that it's capable enough to create the manifestation. So when we correlate this with our experience as speakers, we see that we are emitting sounds to connect and to create this new universe that is happening between us and our public in the space that we are sharing all together. It is situated in the center of the neck, held at the height of the thyroid gland, and it is related to the expression of oneself through truth, purpose, creativity, and individuality. And this is very important for a public speaker. This Vishuddha chakra focuses on expressing ideas clearly, gracefully, and honestly, and projecting one's authentic creativity into the world. The articulation is also very important because when we have a poor articulation, it conveys laziness and apathy. If we don't have the will to move our mouth enough and pronouncing the words, each time that we pronounce a word, we are recreating it. Keeping that thought in mind that each time that we pronounce a word, we are recreating it. It's very helpful because it allows us to be aware of what we are saying, but also of the way we are moving our lips and all our organs that contribute to the speech. When we have poor relation, the reliability and credibility of our public will reduce. And it generates doubt as to whether it comes from little interest or that the person maybe doesn't know the subject enough or their specific shyness. And all these things just make a barrier between us and our public. In the articulation, there is something that is also very important, that is the power of pause. If we just speak very quickly and without any pause, it won't give people the time to absorb and to reflect upon what we are saying. And will give us also the time to organize our ideas. There are three kinds of pauses. There are the respiratory pauses. This is very important because we know that as far as we have enough oxygen in our lungs, the voice can keep coming. So once in a while, doing a respiratory pause is something that we really need to do. And in that sense, we need to listen to our body when our body asks us for make a respiratory pause. But we have to make it in a way that it does not interrupt our speech. There are logical pauses. Logical pauses are pauses that are naturally given by the speech when we conclude a sentence or an idea or a list of thoughts or chain of thoughts that logically are there. And there are psychological or affective pauses. These are the pauses that are those that allow us to connect more with people. These are the pauses in which we give that moment for the people, to the public, to reflect upon what we are saying, to connect with the idea. For instance, when we say a very important idea, one of the main ideas of our speech, it's very useful to make a pause. Why so? because that will allow the idea to sink in people's minds, to sink in people's consciousness. And that can be also effective process in the sense that maybe at that moment we really want to connect on a special, superior, higher, invisible level with our colleagues and give them the opportunity to feel that connection or give each other the opportunity to feel that connection. Making pauses automatically reduces the use of crutches, allows a better understanding of speech comprehension, create empathy, and reinforce the content of the speech. And something that is also very important of the good articulation is that it helps us with the projection of the voice. Projection of the voice is very important, especially when you are in a physical platform where you have, you will never know if you will have a microphone or you just have to speak without a microphone. There are different sizes of spaces. So projecting the voice is always something that you have to take into consideration. And there is an image that can help us very well, an exercise of visualization that can help us very well to project our voice. So whenever we are in front of our public, in the space that we are, we just imagine that our voice is an arrow that reaches the very last point of that space, of that auditorium. And that is the exact point that we should aim to project our voice. Because that way it will be reaching the rest of the auditorium automatically. And this is an exercise of visualization because we really have to put into motion this power, visual power of imagination and visualization that we have as human beings. But of course, the visualization itself is not enough. We, as we already discussed, have to know how to manage our body, how to manage our breathing, etc., because that will help us to project the voice. Why? Why is it so important? Because a low volume not only is difficult to listen to perceive, but it also gives a sense of light, purity, shyness, lack of knowledge of the subject. It can be interpreted in many ways, consciously or unconsciously. We are not saying here that our public is here to judge you or to judge us when we are talking. Is that automatically in the subconscious part of our being? That will be the sensation that we will be projecting and that us, the public, will be feeling. Whereas when we learn to project the voice, which requires exercising with the posture, with the breathing, etc., etc., with our facial uh, expression and all the things that we have already mentioned. That gives us the opportunity to embrace the whole audience. So all these aspects are very, very important. And here I mentioned the voice warm up and the visualization of space. Well, visualization of space, I already explained you how it is. Breathing, posture, and facial work, we already have talked about that. But voice warm up. There are two very simple exercises that can help us with the voice warm up. One of them is practice with tongue twisters. And that also helps us with the articulation. And this is a work that we should do prior to any speech. And if you take a set of tongue twisters of your language, and you just try to read them very clearly, loudly, clear and loud repetition is very important. because that will help your muscles to help you to be more aware of all the muscles that are involved in the public speaking. And there is a voice warm up. There are two warm up exercises I want to suggest. One is utilizing the fill-up. It's like a P and an R together. You can just keep doing this for a couple of minutes while breathing. So you inhale, abdominal breathing, and while exhaling, that's it. You can even keep your hands on your stomach as I showed you in the abdominal breathing. And there is another one that also helps a lot to warm. And it is just take your tongue and make circles inside your mouth. Like this. Good. This helps you to relax all the face muscles in order to allow you to have better facial expression. It helps to be aware of all the organs that are involved in the oratory. It's like when you are going to make an exercise, you first warm up your body in order for it to work better and suffer less. So in this case, it's the same. And when you go to saliva, it will help lubricating and warming up the throat as well. Other exercises you can make a practice on a regular basis is to read loudly and even record yourself while you do so. That way you can hear your voice tone. That way you can be aware of your pulses. That way you can be aware of the rhythm that you are using while speaking. And in general, all these activities will become part of your routine whenever you become a public speaker. Because that will really help you to improve your skills and to convey in a better way the message that you want to convey. A persuasive voice is equal to an harmonious voice, and it has the ability to influence and communicate effectively because it has effective intention, an average volume, a moderate rate, and a low pitched voice. So, start the suggestions for the constant practice. And as you see, it's only a matter of discipline. It's a matter of transforming these barriers that we have into opportunities to improve ourselves. In the next video, we are going to talk a little bit about of the content of our speech. But so far, let's keep it until here. Best wishes in the removal of these obstacles because, as I told you, anyone can become a very effective and good public speaker if we are willing to do so. Thank you very much.